Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 1, Fresh Paint. The series premiere introduces 5 ambitious, eager rookie police officers joining Toronto's 15th Division. Led by second-generation cop Andy McNally, Missy Peregrine, the group quickly realizes that police academy training barely prepares them for the unpredictable, high-stakes realities of street-level policing. The episode opens as 5 brand-new rookies report for their very first shift at Division 15. Andy McNally, Missy Peregrine, daughter of a retired troubled ex-detective. Dov Epstein, Gregory Smith, an over-eager gun enthusiast. Gail Peck, Charlotte Sullivan, well-connected but cynical. Tracy Nash, Inuka Okuma, a single mother balancing her career and family life. Chris Diaz, Travis Milne, an earnest by-the-book patrol officer, paired with her experienced training officer, T.O., Oliver Shaw, Matt Gordon. Andy is dispatched to her first call, a shooting at a local rooming house used as a drug den. Upon arrival, they find a killed drug dealer and a young woman suffering from a life-threatening overdose. While aiding the victims, Andy spots a suspect fleeing down the alley. Determined to make an impression on her first day, Andy chases the suspect into a nearby building, tackles him, and triumphantly places him under arrest. However, her triumph instantly turns into humiliation when the suspect turns out to be Sam Swarek, Ben Bass, an undercover officer working out of 15th Division. By arresting him, Andy inadvertently blows his cover and ruins an 8-month-long undercover sting operation targeting a major drug syndicate. Eager to rectify her mistake and prove herself, Andy goes rogue while searching the surrounding neighborhood. She stumbles into a secluded building and comes face to face with the actual gunman, Martin Bentz, a distraught teenage boy holding a loaded weapon. Martin reveals he shot the drug dealer in a fit of rage after his sister overdosed on drugs purchased at the den. Instead of engaging in a shootout, Andy uses empathy and tactical communication to talk Martin down. She convinces him to hand over the gun safely, bringing the standoff to a peaceful resolution and taking him into custody without further bloodshed. Despite her severe initial blunder, Andy's quick thinking and natural de-escalation skills save a young man's life and secure the suspect. The premiere establishes the recurring central dynamic of the show, the undeniable chemistry and friction between Andy and Sam Swarek, alongside the emotional weight the rookies carry as they learn to navigate street justice. Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 2, Mercury Retrograde. Following her chaotic first day on the job in the series premiere, Andy McNally is desperate to prove she belongs at 15th Division. When a routine assignment to locate a missing informant turns into a dangerous manhunt through Toronto's underground, Andy must team up with undercover detective Sam Swarek, setting off a high-stakes investigation that tests both her instincts and her ability to work under immense pressure. The shift starts with the rookies handling minor, mundane calls across the city to build basic field experience. Andy McNally, Missy Peregrine, is paired up with her training officer, Oliver Shaw, Matt Gordon. Meanwhile, Tracy Nash, Inuka Okuma, works with Detective Jerry Barber, and Dov Epstein, Gregory Smith, struggles with the boredom of routine traffic enforcement. The day takes a dramatic turn when an essential confidential informant, Faisal, fails to meet with his handler, Detective Sam Swarek, Ben Bass. Faisal holds crucial evidence against a violent drug cartel, and his sudden disappearance signals that his cover may have been blown. Because Andy accidentally compromised Swarek's previous undercover operation in Episode 1, she volunteers to assist him in tracking down the informant to redeem herself. Navigating Toronto's seedier night spots, Andy and Sam trace Faisal's last known movements. The tension between the two officers is palpable. Sam views Andy as an over-eager, inexperienced legacy cop who acts on impulse, while Andy resents Sam's cynical rule-breaking attitude. However, as they dig deeper, Sam recognizes Andy's sharp observational skills and quick reflexes. Andy and Sam locate Faisal held hostage inside an abandoned industrial site by heavily armed drug traffickers. Realizing backup will take too long to arrive and that Faisal's life is in immediate danger, they execute a risky breach. A chaotic gunfight and foot chase ensue through the dimly lit facility. Andy is forced to make split-second tactical decisions under live fire, successfully covering Sam as he neutralizes the gunman and rescues the wounded informant. Chris Diaz, Travis Milne, and Gail Peck, Charlotte Sullivan, deal with a seemingly simple domestic dispute that escalates, forcing Gail to learn the value of patience rather than relying solely on departmental authority. Dove Epstein struggles with self-doubt after missing an obvious clue during a traffic stop, but gets reassurance from his fellow rookies at the local hangout bar, the Black Penny. Mercury Retrograde solidifies the core emotional spine of the series, the electric magnetic dynamic between Andy McNally and Sam Swarek. By facing lethal danger together and successfully pulling off the rescue, Sam earns a newfound respect for Andy's courage, while Andy proves to herself and her division that she has what it takes to survive on the streets. Recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 3, Fighting Back. Act 1, The Shift begins. The rookies of Division 15 face another intense shift on the streets of Toronto. Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan, are assigned to investigate a series of violent home invasions targeting wealthy neighborhoods. The suspects act with brutal efficiency, leaving victims traumatized and terrorized in their own homes. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz and his senior officer Oliver Shaw handle a domestic dispute that quickly escalates, forcing Chris to make a split-second decision under intense pressure. Act 2, A Dangerous Lead. Andy and Luke track down a lead that points to a local security installation crew who had access to all the targeted homes. While inspecting a suspect's apartment, Andy discovers a hidden cache of stolen high-end electronics and jewelry, confirming their suspicions. However, the case takes a dark turn when the main suspect realizes the police are closing in. In a desperate attempt to evade arrest, he takes a young woman hostage inside a suburban residence, triggering a high-stakes standoff. Act 3, The Standoff. With backup surrounding the perimeter, Andy finds herself separated from Luke inside the house. Relying on her instincts rather than waiting for SWAT, she engages the armed suspect in a tense verbal confrontation to protect the hostage. When the suspect panics and raises his weapon, Andy executes a tactical disarm, tackling him through a glass coffee table. After a chaotic struggle, she secures the suspect just as Luke breaches the room. Act 4, Lessons Learned. Back at 15 Division, Andy faces a stern reprimand from Staff Sergeant Best for breaching protocol, balanced by quiet praise from Luke for her bravery and quick thinking. Over drinks at the local officer pub, the rookies debrief their brutal day, coming to terms with the psychological toll of police work and leaning on each other as a true family. Episode Recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 4, Signals Crossing. Act 1, Heatwave and High Tension. A suffocating heatwave hits Toronto, driving crime rates up across Division 15's jurisdiction. Rookie Andy McNally is paired with her veteran training officer, Tracy Nash, for their first official shift together on patrol. Their day escalates rapidly when a routine disturbance call leads them to an undercover narcotics sting operation gone wrong inside an abandoned industrial warehouse. Meanwhile, rookie Dove Epstein and his senior officer Oliver Shaw respond to a series of heat-induced street brawls, testing Dove's ability to de-escalate volatile situations without relying solely on force. Act 2, Deep Undercover Threat. Inside the warehouse, Andy and Tracy discover a wounded undercover officer trapped by an armed drug ring. With backup minutes away due to citywide traffic gridlock, the two female officers must rely on stealth and tactical communication to clear the perimeter without blowing their cover or escalating the hostage situation. Andy manages to slip through a high window to secure the rear exit, while Tracy distracts the primary gunman using psychological negotiation tactics to buy critical time. Act 3, The Breaching Point. As heat and frustration reach a boiling point, one of the armed suspects panics and draws his weapon on the wounded officer. Andy executes a surprise breach from behind a stack of crates, tackling the suspect to the concrete floor and disarming him in a swift, violent struggle. Tracy secures the second gunman at gunpoint, neutralizing the threat just as SWAT and Division 15 backup units flood the building. Act 4, Bonds tested. Back at Division 15, Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges the rookie's quick thinking under extreme heat and pressure. Tracy and Andy celebrate their successful partnership, realizing that despite their differences, they form an unbeatable team. At the local pub, the squad cools down over cold drinks, reflecting on the fine line between following protocol and trusting their instincts on the firing line. Recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 5, Broad Daylight. Act 1, A Disturbance in Broad Daylight. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior training officer, Luke Callahan, respond to what appears to be a routine break-in call at an upscale residential neighborhood. However, the situation takes an immediate turn when they arrive to find an ongoing home invasion in progress. The perpetrator, a desperate home intruder, panics upon seeing the police car and barricades himself inside the house, taking the wealthy homeowner hostage. Simultaneously, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck are assigned to process a series of petty theft cases, leading to a clash of personalities as Dov tries to prove his tactical worth, while Gail sticks strictly to protocol. Act 2, The High-Stakes Standoff. Inside the residence, the suspect grows increasingly volatile, threatening the homeowner at gunpoint. With Division 15 establishing a perimeter outside, Andy is forced to take the lead in verbal de-escalation while Luke maneuvers around the back of the property to locate an entry point. Using her empathy and quick instincts, Andy initiates dialogue with the suspect through a broken living room window, trying to calm his rising desperation before tactical units arrive and escalate the confrontation to lethal force. Act 3, Tactical Breach. As negotiations stall and the armed suspect becomes unpredictable, Luke signals Andy for a coordinated strike. Andy creates a sudden vocal distraction from the front entrance, drawing the suspect's attention away from his hostage. Luke breaches the rear patio door and Andy charges through the front entry. Together, they overwhelm the suspect in a fast-paced physical tackle, disarming his handgun and securing the victim unharmed, just as tactical backup floods the room. Act 4, Emotional Aftermath. Back at the station, Staff Sergeant Best acknowledges Andy's bravery, but reminds her of the fine line between calculated risk and recklessness on the job. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to unwind after a harrowing shift. Andy and Luke share an undeniable moment of personal connection, while the entire rookie crew reflects on the emotional weight of protecting lives when every second counts. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 6, In School. Act 1, High School Undercover. The rookies of Division 15 face an unusual assignment when a routine traffic stop uncovers a sophisticated high school drug trafficking operation. Rookie Andy McNally and her senior officer Luke Callahan are tasked with leading the investigation inside a prestigious local high school. To blend in and gather intelligence without alerting the student body, Andy goes undercover inside the school hallway. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Chris Diaz handle the impounded vehicle from the initial arrest, attempting to track the digital supply chain behind the distribution network. Act 2, Uncovering the Syndicate. Inside the school, Andy observes the complex social hierarchy and quickly identifies a vulnerable student being coerced into acting as a courier for an aggressive teenage dealer. Realizing the threats extend beyond the school gates to an organized adult criminal ring, Andy builds trust with the student to uncover the stash location. However, the operation hits a snag when the young courier panics, suspecting police presence, and attempts to flush the critical evidence down a locker room facility. Act 3, The Hallway Confrontation. Andy intervenes just as the teenage dealer corners the courier in an isolated stairwell. Dropping her cover, Andy uses her tactical training to restrain the armed dealer and secure the narcotics before a violent outbreak occurs. Simultaneously, Luke and the outer perimeter units intercept the adult supplier arriving on campus grounds, executing a swift high-stakes arrest in the school parking lot. Act 4, Lessons Beyond the Classroom. With the ring dismantled, Division 15 closes the case. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her emotional intelligence and adaptability undercover. Gathering at the local officer pub, the rookies reflect on how easily young lives can be derailed by bad choices. strengthening their resolve and unity as a team. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 7, Hot and Bothered. Act 1, Heat Wave Escalate. An oppressive heat wave sweeps through Toronto, causing power outages, rising tempers, and a massive surge in emergency calls for Division 15. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callahan respond to a frantic call regarding a missing teenage girl last seen near a local park. As the heat intensifies, the clock ticks against them. The initial investigation reveals troubling evidence. The girl's abandoned bicycle and personal belongings are found near a secluded wooded trail, pointing to an abduction. Act 2, Race Against Time. Division 15 launches a full-scale search operation across the district. Andy and Luke interview local residents and business owners, following a trail of CCTV footage that identifies a prime suspect, a local handyman with a history of suspicious behavior. Meanwhile, rookies Dove Epstein and Chris Diaz deal with rolling blackouts that trigger widespread traffic gridlock and store alarms, keeping the rest of the unit stretched to its absolute limit while Andy pursues the lead. Act 3, The Forest Confrontation. Andy tracks the suspect to an abandoned industrial facility on the edge of the woods. Separated from Luke during the search inside the vast, sweltered complex, Andy locates the missing teenager bound and terrified in a basement room. Before she can free the victim, the armed suspect ambushes Andy from the shadows. Utilizing her hand-to-hand combat training, Andy fights off the attacker in an intense struggle, disarming his weapon and securing him in handcuffs just as Luke and backup reach the facility. Act 4, Emotional Toll. With the victim safely reunited with her family and the suspect in custody, Division 15 breathes a collective sigh of relief. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her unwavering determination under brutal environmental and physical conditions. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to cool down, reflecting on the heavy responsibility of saving lives when every second counts. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 8, Girlfriend or Wife. Act 1, A Routine. Stop escalates. The shift starts like any other for rookie Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan. During a routine traffic stop on a speeding luxury sedan, Andy notices the male driver acting overly defensive while his female passenger appears visibly terrified. Trusting her gut instinct, Andy presses further, discovering that the woman is secretly signaling for help under the dashboard. Before Luke can fully step in, the driver guns the accelerator, sparking a high-speed vehicle pursuit through the crowded streets of downtown Toronto. Act 2, Deepening Mystery. After forcing the suspect's car to a halt in an alleyway, the driver flees on foot, leaving the traumatized woman behind. At Division 15, the rookies uncover a dangerous truth. The woman is caught in a high-stakes domestic abuse and extortion ring involving a dangerous local mob boss. Meanwhile, rookie Chris Diaz and his senior officer Oliver Shaw investigate a series of commercial burglaries, uncovering a connection that leads straight back to the same crime syndicate, putting Division 15 on high alert. Act 3, Tactical Interception. Andy tracks the fleeing suspect to an underground parking garage where he attempts to force the victim into a secondary getaway vehicle. Refusing to wait for SWAT backup, Andy and Luke breach the lower level with sidearms raised. A tense confrontation breaks out as the suspect draws a weapon. Andy executes a swift flank maneuver, distracting the gunman while Luke tackles him to the concrete floor, disarming the suspect and securing the victim unharmed. Act 4, Personal Boundaries. With the syndicate dismantled, Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her sharp observation skills during the initial stop. At the local pub, the rookies unwind from the intense shift. As personal lines blur between Andy and Luke, the team reflects on the dangerous realities of police work and the critical importance of trusting their instincts when lives hang in the balance. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 9, Bullet or Ball. Act 1, high-stakes traffic operation. The shift begins with Division 15 launching a massive citywide traffic check stop operation aimed at cracking down on drunk drivers and illegal contraband. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer, Luke Callahan, pull over a suspicious driver whose nervous behavior triggers immediate red flags. Upon inspecting the vehicle's interior, Andy uncovers a hidden compartment beneath the rear seats packed with illegal automatic firearms, pulling Division 15 straight into an active underground weapons trafficking investigation. Act 2, tracking the syndicate. The arrested driver agrees to cooperate, leading Luke and Andy into a high-risk undercover operation to track the supply chain back to a ruthless local crime boss. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Chris Diaz handle a secondary emergency when a domestic violence call escalates into an active barricade situation in a residential neighborhood. As Dov tries to de-escalate the hostile suspect through a locked front door, he is forced to make split-second tactical decisions to protect innocent family members trapped inside. Act 3, ambush in the warehouse. Andy and Luke follow the illegal weapons trail to a secluded industrial dockyard warehouse where a major arms deal is going down. With backup delayed by heavy city traffic, the team attempts to maintain covert surveillance from the shadows. However, the syndicate members spot the officers opening heavy fire. In the ensuing chaotic gunfight, Andy executes a tactical flank maneuver under suppressive fire, disarming the primary gunrunner and securing the weapon stockpile just as SWAT backup floods the warehouse. Act 4, the weight of the badge. With the weapons syndicate successfully dismantled and the barricade hostage situation resolved safely by Dov and Chris, Division 15 closes another violent shift. At the local officer pub, the rookies gather to process the sheer adrenaline and danger of the day. The team shares cold drinks and quiet moments of solidarity, realizing how thin the line is between life and death on the streets of Toronto. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 10, Big Heat. Act 1, high-stakes warrants. The shift at Division 15 begins under high pressure as Staff Sergeant Best initiates a massive precinct-wide sting operation to execute outstanding high-risk warrants. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan are assigned to track down an elusive ringleader connected to a series of violent armed robberies. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle tactical perimeter control, but tensions rise as the high-stress environment tests the rookies' confidence and communication skills on the front lines. Act 2, trap in the complex. Andy and Luke track their suspect to a labyrinthine apartment complex in a high-crime neighborhood. While conducting room-to-room checks, Andy notices signs of a forced entry at a quiet residence. Trusting her instincts, she enters to investigate, only to discover the suspect and his armed associates lying in wait. Before Luke can reach her position, the suspects bolt through the building's fire escape, triggering a chaotic foot pursuit through narrow alleys and crowded urban rooftops. Act 3, Rooftop Showdown. Andy pursues the primary suspect across a high-rise rooftop. Separated from backup, she corners the gunman near the ledge. The suspect, desperate to avoid a life sentence, draws a firearm and refuses to surrender. Relying on her tactical training and psychological composure, Andy de-escalates the situation while closing the distance. When the suspect moves to raise his weapon, Andy executes a swift physical takedown, disarming him just inches from the building's edge as Luke and tactical units breach the roof. Act 4, Emotional Reckoning. With the high-risk warrant executed and the suspect safely in custody, Division 15 celebrates a major victory. Staff Sergeant Best commends Andy for her exceptional bravery and field instincts under life-threatening conditions. At the local pub, the rookies unwind after the brutal shift. Surrounded by her fellow officers, Andy reflects on her growth from a hesitant rookie to a battle-tested officer capable of holding the line when everything is on the line. Episode recap: Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 11, To Serve or Protect. Act 1, a high-profile trial. The tension at Division 15 reaches a boiling point as rookie Andy McNally is called to testify in a high-profile murder trial stemming from one of her early arrests. With defense attorneys ready to tear apart any rookie mistake, Andy feels the crushing pressure of protecting the victim's memory while maintaining bulletproof professional composure on the witness stand. Meanwhile, rookies Chris Diaz and Dov Epstein respond to a seemingly routine noise complaint at an apartment complex, only to stumble upon an active hostage situation involving a heavily armed suspect. Act 2, Under the Spotlight. Inside the courtroom, Andy faces ruthless cross-examination. The defense attempts to paint her actions as reckless and inexperienced, shaking her confidence. Outside the courtroom, Detective Luke Callahan offers quiet encouragement, reminding Andy to trust her training and stay grounded in the facts. Simultaneously, at the apartment complex, Chris and Dov find themselves trapped in a narrow hallway with a barricaded gunman holding an innocent family at gunpoint, forcing them to hold the line until backup arrives. Act 3, Tactical Precision. While Andy recovers her footing on the stand and delivers crucial, unshakable testimony that seals the prosecution's case, Chris and Dov initiate a breach protocol. When the gunman panics and moves toward a window with a hostage, Chris creates a tactical distraction while Dov tackles the suspect through a wooden doorway, disarming him in a violent struggle and securing the family without a single shot fired. Act 4, Justice Delivered. With the murder conviction secured in court and the barricade situation resolved safely, Division 15 chalks up another hard-won victory. Staff Sergeant Best praises the rookies for showing veteran-level poise under extraordinary legal and physical pressure. At the local pub, the squad gathers to raise a glass to Andy, celebrating their unbreakable bond as brothers and sisters in blue. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 12, In Service. Act 1, High Stakes Escort. The shift begins with maximum security at Division 15 as the squad is assigned to protect a high-profile key witness testifying against a notorious local crime syndicate. Rookie Andy McNally and her training officer Luke Callaghan lead the transport team responsible for moving the witness safely from a secure safe house to the federal courthouse. Meanwhile, rookies Dov Epstein and Gail Peck handle outer perimeter security, monitoring nearby traffic and suspect communications to ensure no leak compromises the witness's route. Act 2, Ambush on the route. The routine transport turns deadly when the convoy is ambushed in a quiet industrial district. Armed gunmen in black SUVs ram the lead vehicle and open heavy fire, pinning down Andy, Luke, and the witness. Realizing the route was leaked by an insider, Luke calls for immediate emergency backup, while Andy returns fire from behind the transport vehicle. With enemy forces closing in, Andy makes a split-second decision to move the terrified witness through an adjacent multi-level parking structure to evade the incoming gunfire. Act 3, The Parking Garage Battle. Inside the dim parking structure, Andy maneuvers the witness through a maze of vehicles while relentless hitmen hunt them floor by floor. Separated from Luke during the chaotic breach, Andy relies on tactical stealth and quick reflexes to eliminate immediate threats. When the lead assassin corners them near the top ramp, Andy executes a tactical flank maneuver, neutralizing the gunman in an intense shootout just as Luke, Dov, and tactical backup units breach the floor to secure the area. Act 4, Unmasking the Leak. With the witness delivered safely to court and the hitman neutralized, Division 15 uncovers the internal leak that compromised the transport, closing the case with major commendations. At the local officer pub, the rookies unwind after one of their most dangerous shifts yet. Sipping cold beers together, the team reflects on trust, loyalty, and the tight-knit bond that keeps them alive on the front lines. Episode Recap, Rookie Blue, Season 1, Episode 13, Takedown. Act 1, Season Finale High Stakes. It is the ultimate test for Division 15's rookie class as their first year on the force culminates in a massive high-risk undercover drug bust. Rookie Andy McNally goes deep undercover inside a dangerous narcotics ring to seal the deal on a major cartel boss. However, the operation spirally detours when Andy's cover is suddenly compromised inside a secluded warehouse. The cartel boss realizes police are closing in, taking Andy hostage at gunpoint as the building goes into complete lockdown. Act 2. Tactical Lockdown. With Andy trapped inside and communications severed, Detective Luke Callahan and Officer Sam Swarek lead an emergency perimeter response. Tensions explode between Luke and Sam over tactical priorities, but both veterans must push personal rivalries aside to orchestrate a high-stakes breach. Inside the warehouse, Andy relies on her emotional resilience and tactical training to delay her captors, feeding false intelligence to the cartel leader to buy critical minutes for the tactical team outside. Act 3. The Explosive Breach. As the cartel prepares to execute Andy and flee through a rear exit, SWAT and Division 15 units initiate a synchronized tactical breach. Flashbangs detonate, shattering the warehouse windows and throwing the room into violent chaos. Andy seizes the moment, executing a combat takedown on her primary captor. She disarms him in a vicious struggle on the concrete floor as Sam and Luke burst into the room with sidearms raised, neutralizing the remaining armed enforcers and securing the scene. Act 4. Survival and New Horizons. With the cartel dismantled and Andy rescued, Division 15 celebrates the survival and official rite of passage for their rookie officers. Having survived their treacherous first year, Andy, Dove, Chris, Gale, and Tracy stand united. No longer raw recruits, but battle-tested police officers. At the local pub, the squad raises a final toast to their survival, setting the stage for an explosive future on the streets of Toronto.